Hi, everyone. It's Lydia with the Global Travel Junkie podcast and YouTube channel. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest today. I'm sitting here with Edoardo. How are you?
Ciao, ciao, good, and thank you for inviting me on the show.
Wonderful. We're so glad you're here. So, where in Tuscany or where in Italy are you right now?
In Castiglione Fiorentino, in my town, is a small hill
Oh,
town in the east of Tuscany.
okay, wonderful. So, I want to start off the episode by telling everyone how I know Eduardo. So, I was on Instagram and I ran across his page, which is at Eduardo Bidini. And I saw such beautiful photography of what looked like to be Tuscany because I recognized it. And so I just followed him and I just really liked a lot of his pictures. And then when I started my podcast, I reached out to him and I asked him if he wanted to be a guest on the show and tell everybody what he does and how he helps tourists in Italy. So he said yes. And so he's here today. And so we're going to talk about that. So, but before I get started with that, though, I want Eduardo to introduce himself, give a little background, and kind of help lead us up to where what he's doing today that he's on the show about.
Okay, so I grew up here in Castiglione Fiorentino in my town, and I ever had the passion for the history and for the art, and so I decided to um, became a tour guide. Before I have a graduation in history of art, and then I in 2014 I became a tour guide, and so it's one of the best work for me because I can transmit my passion for my land and for my country also.
Yeah.
And
So, who do you primarily work with as a tour guide?
I work first of all in my area, so Valdichiana, my town, Castiglione Fiorentino, Cortona, Montepulciano, Pienza, and then also in the bigger town like Firenze, Siena, and this part of Tuscany is the central and east part of Tuscany.
Okay. Do you also go to Pisa? Because I know a lot of people like to see
No,
the Leaning
it's too
Tower.
far. It's too far from my area.
What is it like an hour? Is it like an hour and a half to go
two
to
two
Pisa?
hour, 2 hour, 2 hour to get
Wow.
pizza
Okay.
by car. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, you specialize, like one of the things that you specialize is helping your client understand like the Italian culture, the Italian way of life, and just living like an Italian when you're helping them to navigate through these towns, plus the architecture and the art and the music and the food. So let's talk a little bit about Italy in general. Like, what is Italy like for people who've never even been?
So Italy is a very mm, complicated country, but because it's full of history, it's full of treasures, and it's full of difference between the north, the central part, and the south. So when you go in other region, in the other town, something change the architecture, change the accent, change the food, and but at the same time, every part is linked together because it's the history, it's the long process of the history. We have many things similar, but many other things very different. So it's a very um, is the real beauty of Italy is the difference. The difference in few kilometers you can have many difference, and but at the same time a huge heritage, a huge beauty. If I think about Italy, the north, the mountains, the big lake, the beautiful town like Turin, Milan, Venice, but also the countryside like Langhe, where was made the Barolo wine, one of the best Italian wine, or Valdobbiadene in the north, where is the homeland of the Prosecco, one of the best dry wine in Italy, and south. Very different, but the beauty is the same. Sicily, Naples, Amalfi Coast, Capri, when you go in some part of Italy, you are ready for discovery many things.
Yeah. Even like Sardinia, which is considered like a blue
Yeah,
zone, which means that they have a very long lifespan in that area of Sardinia. So,
yeah,
so the Italians are doing something right if they have such a long, healthy life. So, the other thing that I thought was interesting is there back in the medieval times or even previous to that, there were just like a lot of kings, like in different zones, right? I mean, there wasn't like one king of Italy. It was
yeah,
like there was a king in Naples and then a king in Venice and a king
yeah,
in Milan, right? So, do you know anything about
yeah.
that, about those
Something
different?
similar. Yes, Italy is a young country born in 1861. Before was full of different smaller country. You told before many kings in the south, the king of Naples and Sicily, in the north, in Milan, other king, in Tuscany, the Duchy of the Medici, and the state of the Pope in the other part of the center of Italy. So many kingdom, uh, many difference.
Many rulers.
Yes, obviously, yes. But and the different kingdom utilized the art to expression of the power. But the art that was used or the architecture that was used in the north is different by the art and the architecture used in the south. So this is one of the best thing of Italy. The beauty is everywhere, but different beauty.
Yeah.
And
You know, and I
next to the beauty, our cuisine, our wine, our food, our dishes, our olive oil, because they grow up together. No, architecture, history, and food, olive oil go together up to now.
yeah. You know, I also remember that, because Italy is surrounded pretty much by water, on both
See?
sides, then it had the ability to be invaded by other countries and cultures like,
Yeah,
Greeks and
yeah,
Syria and the Egyptians and the Moors. And so their influences would come off of the boats into the towns. And if somebody took over, like there's a town in southern Italy that looks like it's, something from Morocco, as far as the way the little huts are built in the city, the little architecture is so unique.
yeah,
So
yeah.
and
If you
and
go,
then, go ahead.
if you go in Sicily, yes, you can find many architecture that you remember as the Arabic style. And because it's true, during the century, during the story, many a different population meet in the south of Italy. So for this reason, we find many architecture that remember us other part of the world. But the same is in the north. Some part of the north remember as Germany or French, because during the century they have many influence by these countries.
Yeah, I know. So let's talk about, so that's kind of in general about Italy. Let's talk more specifically about what you specialize in, which is the small town tour. So you could just get a real, a unique experience visiting Italy with a small town. But if you just go by yourself and you don't really know what you're going or what you're looking for, you're not going to find the hidden treasure. So let's talk about the what you were sharing earlier about the finding that unique bread makers and talking about the artisans and the handmade items. Why don't you tell us about
Yeah.
that?
Yes, obviously, when you go in the small Italian towns, you find more reality, no? And so you can find the place where the wine was made like many years ago. The olive oil is just organic olive oil. And also, you can find in the center of the towns some typical shops like the handcraft for jewels and also for the food. And I love to share this kind of experience with my customers because I need, when you go in other country, you have to understand the way and the life, no? So when I have my customers, I love to try to become Italian for 1 or 2 days. It depends how many times stay with me. But so, and I love to make Italian breakfast together. So croissant and cappuccino or espresso. Some important rules for the lunch, no? Pasta, pasta without cappuccino, pasta without strange sauce. Because first of all, the Italian dishes are very simple. Okay, and then I love also explain and discover together the treasure about the shops like the handcraft. No, for example, in Cortona, one of the best town in my area and famous thanks to the movie Under the Tuscan Sun. With my customers at the end of my tour, we go together in the historical jewelry to discover the way to realize the jewels, and everything is made with a glass of prosecco. So, and it is impossible to discover the tradition and the high quality because everything, first of all, is made with very high quality for everything, for the food, for the jewels, for everything. This is the first rule, the quality.
Tell them about the Castellium Fiorentino, what they get to experience there regarding the bread maker that you said it was over 100-year-old system.
Yeah. My town is a very small town, 30,000 inhabitants, so it's very small, but it's very busy. Many events during the year. So the biggest event is the Palio, the horse race. Make We make the Palio the third Sunday of June, and it's a very important tradition for us. During the day, every part of the town is full of colors and full of people, and also the week before, because the week before is important to prepare the people at the event. So the week before, every day there are something, some party, and full of young people everywhere, full of noises, obviously. But it's very special event. So the horse race is made in the biggest square of Castiglione Fiorentino, Piazza Garibaldi. 3 laps of the square, and we have 6 horses with the jockeys, and every jockeys came from the three different neighborhoods of the town. Okay, but it's not the only event in Castillo and Fiorentino. We have also the medieval party between the end of May and beginning of June in the upper part of the town, where there are the fortress and the tower. Um, and also we have during the Easter week the procession, very old tradition. You have to think that the procession born in Castillo and Fiorentino in 16th century, and still today you can see the same clothes with the same colors and the same statues. Obviously, bring in the different part of the town. So when you come here, you can find something different in every part of the year.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is the event where they have the medieval procession and they go through the town walls, is that because they're celebrating spring, like May through June? Like, what are they celebrating?
No,
Just
no,
medieval
for
times?
the no. For the procession, we celebrate the Easter. Okay,
Right.
and for the medieval party is just to celebrate the medieval age, and is a way to stay together.
It's
No,
just
you
to
know the Italian
celebrate.
people.
It's just a medieval
Yeah,
party.
everything is good to celebrate, and also the horse race instead is old tradition that come back to the light at the end of yeah, around 1977, and
Wow.
and every year is I think
Yeah,
the
so
biggest.
it's been consecutive since
Yeah,
1977. Can you tell me, you may not know the answer to this, but how far back does the original Palio for Castilian go? Like, when was the first one?
the first document about the palio date back at 1845, more or less, but probably was made before, but we don't have documents.
Right.
Because we know that just outside of the wall of the town there were some places with a special name that remember us the horse race, but we don't have document. We have document just from the first half of the 19th century.
So I want to share, as an American who went to the Palio, I want to share what it was like for me, because you're not really expressing how crazy it really is.
Yeah,
You know,
but I suggest you and your followers to go in the web and check Palio Castiglione Fiorentino or Processioni Castiglione Fiorentino, and you can find some beautiful uh, pictures that can understand you. No?
yeah. Yeah, so I will put a link. I'll Google it for the guest, and then I'll put a link in the description so people can just go to the link and look at it.
Okay.
But I just want to share that there's a big parking lot that is considered the big square, where during the day people park and buses park and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they put dirt all around the parking lot, and they put the barrier for the horses to run inside the racetrack. They build it, and then they put bleachers up so that the people can sit and watch the horse race on this parking lot, which is called it's one of their largest piazzas. It's probably where the original Palios took place in the medieval times, right? It's just now a parking lot.
Uh,
And
probably, just to know, probably in the medieval time, the competition between the horses was a little bit different, not circular, but in the line.
oh, okay, like yeah, like
Yeah,
a track.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So then the people from the zonas, which are the different neighborhoods that the town is a circle with the gates I mentioned before. They get to be a part of their neighborhood and they cheer on the jockey of their neighborhood. And it's pretty wild. Like people get serious about the race, like there's
Yeah.
probably some hurting of the jockeys or there's probably like some
Yeah.
serious.
Is probably you can see also the people fighting, but
Yeah. Yes, they get so excited about they want to make sure that their neighborhood wins, and it's so serious. They train and they get all this momentum build up about this one race, and so the fact that it's just it's like your heart, races, and you're not even riding the horse, but you get excited to see which zone's going to win, which neighborhood is going to win. So it was just a really special experience for me to be there during that time. And for those of you who don't know, I did not know. I mentioned this in a previous recording, but I did a study abroad program in the town where Edoardo is from. And we figured out that when I was 21, he was 8 years old growing up in Castiglione Fiorentino. So we probably experienced the same paleo of 1990 when I was there. So our lives could have crossed paths before. So, okay. So this is what we're wanting to express to our audience is that the small town Italian life is so different than when you go to Italy and you visit Rome or Naples or Milano. Definitely Milano, because that is such a city with high rise buildings and stuff. And Venice is a little bit more cultural, although because it's so unique with its bridges and its water, although there's just so much tourist there that it's commercialized a lot. So you'd have to go kind of in a hidden area to really get that
yeah.
Italian life. And they move so much faster in the bigger cities than when you go to the small town. The life is a lot more piano, lentamente, right? Like just a slower
Sí,
experience. So um,
sí.
let's talk about you. I want to mention something funny. We were talking about culture, and I want to express, y'all might have missed it, but he was letting you know that you never eat or drink a cappuccino after the morning breakfast. And Americans do that all the time, and it drives Italians crazy. And the reason you don't do it is because of the latte, because it has milk in a cappuccino, right? That's the only reason that you're not supposed to eat it
Yeah,
after
yeah,
breakfast.
yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
the espresso, you can take the espresso also in the evening, in the afternoon, because it's
Yeah.
without meat. Right?
And actually, a lot of times they drink the espresso after the meal to help settle and digest the food that they just ate. Like it's a part of
Yeah,
digestion. The
yeah,
other rule I want to tell people culturally is I learned this the hard way is you never ever put parmigiano or formaggio on top of seafood.
yeah, sure, obviously. Yeah.
But Americans do that all the time. We just put parmigiano on
Ano-
everything, but you
Another
don't.
another thing that I see on the web, the American do, to broken the spaghetti. No,
Oh,
no,
that's funny.
no, no,
Yeah,
no, no, no.
that's so
But
funny. Well, wait,
okay,
tell us
you have.
why. Tell us why. Tell
I
us
don't
why
know
you don't break
why.
spaghetti.
I don't know
It
why.
because you can't slurp it up. You know.
But you don't eat spaghetti. If you prefer short pasta, you take short pasta. Spaghetti are good because they're long, and you have to.
There's so much rationale with the reasoning why you don't break pasta, like if you want short pasta, you just get the bow tie, the come si dice, the bow tie, cravatini,
Sì,
the bow
ok,
tie.
sì, sì, sì,
Yeah,
ho
the bow
capito.
tie
I
is the
understand.
little pasta. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to your business and what you do. So a lot of times you said you worked with people who will you usually go people find you through like a travel agent in the area, but also like a lot of people will be renting the villas in the area and then you can take them on tours. So how does that work? Do you have a van or like how do y'all get along together? Do you go get in their car? How does that work?
So usually the agency organize everything, and when the people want to have a tour with me, it depends. If the tour is far, like in other town, the customers have a private driver, okay, and I go with they in the van. Instead, is if the tour is in the town, like in Cortona, and they stay in the town, we meet in the main square of the town.
Okay. That's good to
The
know. I
agency
was
think
curious
about
about that.
all.
What?
The agency think about all comfort.
Oh, right. It's total, all inclusive. Everything is taken
Yeah,
care of for you. You just show
yeah,
up, right?
yeah.
That's awesome. So, do you have any recommendations? Like, if somebody was going to come to Tuscany for the first time, where would you like say would be the most experiential, best experience first?
Where for the first time is art. Allora, the first stop that you have to do is in Florence, obviously, because if you come here, you have to see the Piazza della Signoria, the Dome of Firenze, or the David. You have to go just 1 day or 2 day maximum, and then you go away from Florence, and you go in the Chianti area. The Chianti area is very famous for the wine, for the Chianti wine. Okay, the Chianti area is between Florence and Siena. Is full of farm, is full of castles, is a beautiful place. And another stop that you have to go is in my land, obviously, and Valdorcia. My land is Valdichiana, and next to Valdichiana there is Valdorcia with Pienza, with the cypress of the Gladiator movie, the Gladiator movie, no, you know, and I think in 1 week you can discover many beautiful places, many beautiful small village, and many times my customers ask me when we go in the small town to in the small town, but the people live here because it seems like fake. Instead, is real because they probably they compare with Disneyland with something fake. Instead, is all things are real. No, the
Yeah.
houses are real, the squares are real, everything are real. So we think about 1 week, okay? First day, maximum 2 day in Florence, and then you go in Chianti area for taste the wine and the olive oil, and then you go toward Pienza and Valdorcia, and then you go in Cortona and Castiglione Fiorentino in Valdichiana, okay? And then you come back in Florence and finish your tour. It's perfect.
That's
And then
awesome.
probably you want to come back faster.
You know what? When you go to my website, globaltraveljunkie.com, a little pop-up pops up to invite you to put in your email address. And the photo that I have is a beautiful photo of Firenze, of Florence. And so I just want to invite everyone, like, this is the beginning of my podcast, and I have big dreams about having enough people to find collective interest to want to go travel and explore some of the places that we're talking about. So if any of y'all are interested and at least being on the list to be notified if I do create a travel adventure. Maybe I'll create a travel adventure to Tuscany, and we can go have Edoardo take us around on this tour that he just created for us to go to Florence, Chianti, and then to his town and his zone in
Yeah.
Piacenza, all the
Pienza,
different
Pienza.
Pienza. There's so many towns that are like similar in name. You can get them confused. So, um, we did an episode 30 minutes ago and it got cut off, so we had to re-record. I wish I had the ability to like put those two together and have it be one. I can definitely do it with audio, but I'm not sure I know how to do it with video. But is there anything else? I know that you wanted to leave it at like 30 minutes of your time. So is there anything else you can think of that you want to share with the audience before we wrap up the call?
Um,
You know, I have
Probably,
some. Well, I was going to say I have something. If you can't think of anything, you were telling us in the other episode that you take people to different places, like to taste the olive oil and to experience the cheese. Do you take them to the factories or the
yeah.
fattorie or the farms?
Mhm. Obviously, during my tours, we go in these kind of places to have a good experience, like wine tasting, um, the olive oil tasting, and cheese also. And I try to transmit at my customers um, the science of these for us. It's not just wine, just olive oil, or just cheese. It is something that come back to the past. No, for example, the olive oil for us is a very old tradition here. When you come here, the landscape is full of olive groves, everything, because every family here have a private olive fields, and everyone more or less realize the olive oil on your own. Okay, and during the harvest in the autumn is a big event for every families here, because we stay all together in the countryside to pick up the olive, and we have a lunch in the countryside. So it's a big event, and then when we have the new olive oil, is a very great pleasure to taste the new oil. Is something that is very complicated to try to transmit. In fact, happen that sometimes some farms decide to invited the customer to pick up during the harvest the olive trees, because it's something very special. It's not possible to understand just with words. Okay, is important to try. Yes, to try. And then when you at the finish of the work to taste the new olive oil, something special. I remember
Yeah.
the new olive oil. The best way to taste the new olive oil is Tuscany bread, okay, with garlic, okay, and olive oil. Stop. Is the best way to taste.
Oh, you just reminded me of how they used to describe food and then go basta, like which is enough, no more. Stop.
Yes, because many people thinks that more ingredients more good. Is not true. If the quality of the ingredients are very high, few ingredients.
Yeah, the less ingredients, the more flavor that you can experience, right?
Yeah,
In America, in English, we talk about the experience of food,
yeah, yeah,
the ability to experience the harvest and harvesting the olives you're talking about, and actually picking them up with your hands and then putting them in the basket and then carrying them to, I guess, the press where they do the olive press, and then you actually get to taste your own harvest, and it's just so much more of an experience. Like it's we would call that like a spiritual, è un'esperienza spirituale, no? It's a spiritual experience to be one with the olive tree.
Yeah,
Essere
yeah.
unico, uno con the olive tree.
But it's true because when you stay in the countryside, you don't heard nothing. You heard something, the sounds of the nature, the birds, and maybe the dog, the other voices of the other families in the other fields. Is
I
something
know you're
very
making me
special.
want to. So actually, when is that? Is that October? Because you're making me want to come back during the harvest.
The harvest, it depends. The harvest start usually in October and finish in the first half of November.
Okay, so that means that'll be my window of my month. I'll start in October and I'll leave in November for 30 days just so I can
Yeah.
catch the harvest. Okay, wonderful. So, Eduardo, if you want, we would love to have you come back and have other conversations about Italy. I know that you told me that you just went down to Caserta for the holidays or recently, and you want to do more exploring of Italy. So, what I want to invite you to do is if you plan to go learn about other places, then you can come back on my show and you can talk about what you learned and you can
Yeah.
encourage other people to come visit where you just explored. It would be a great way for you to help educate us on what Italy has to offer, and you can have a channel to express that, so people can come back and listen to where is Eduardo today in Italy.
Okay, with
maybe
with pleasure.
maybe you could do the episode in your vacation, like when you're there you get on an episode with me and you talk about what you did today and what you're
Mhm.
experiencing in the moment.
Okay, okay,
Oh, you like
perfect.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, tell everybody one more time what are all the different ways that they can find you or connect with you or follow you?
In the social, in the Instagram or Facebook, you have to put my name and surname, and you find me. You recognize my face.
And so I'm going to spell that for everybody. It's Edoardo. And then the
Yes.
last name is
D I
Bidini.
N E. I. Yeah,
No,
yeah. Sorry.
I.
I said with the Italian
I know
accent.
he's saying it in the Italian way. It's Bidini. So it's
Yeah.
Bidini. Okay.
See.
So I'm going to go find you on Facebook and connect with you on Facebook as well. So, all right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We're going to wrap up this episode of the Global Travel Junkie podcast and YouTube channel. And we look forward to finding out where you're going to go next and what you're going to come back and tell us about for the next time.
Probably I will go in the so the next week probably I will go in the town that's dead. In Civita di Bagnoregio is a very unusual town in Italy, and is like a small island, but not in the sea, in the countryside, because is born over the rock and all around nothing. And to get inside the town, you have to cross the bridge. There is just one bridge to go in the town. It's very small town, and but is one of the best place in Italy, unknown for many people, but it is one of the best beautiful place. And probably during the Easter I will go in Parma, the place where the homeland for the Parmigiano Reggiano, the cheese, the best Italian cheese, or the prosciutto di Parma, another best another the best product of our country, and to discover some places where it's possible to have a very good experience for the food, and obviously to go to see the beauty of the town.
Yeah. I look forward to that. I have seen that town you're talking about where there's a bridge and it's like a Windows screensaver. And I saw that
Mhm.
picture and I was like, where is that? And I had to look it up. So that's neat. I look forward to learning more about that from you. So thank you so much. We'll say ciao for now. And
Ciao.
ciao. And ci vediamo, right? Dopo un altro
See you
giorno.
soon. See you
See
soon.
you
Okay,
soon. See you
perfect.
soon. All
Okay.
right.
I
Bye.
wait you and your followers in Italy. Write me if you
Okay.
want the best guide, okay?
Yes. He's saying, write him if you want the best private tour guide. Absolutely. Everybody go get connected to Eduardo. Okay. All right.